Hello and welcome everyone to November the 5th regular legislative committee meeting of the town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 3:01. First up, I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councillor Bullock makes that motion. Is there any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. So, first up, we're going to have a quarterly progress report from Facilities and Rec and Facilities Manager, Parks and Rec and Facilities Manager, Dan Kuzmic. Go ahead, Mr. Kuzmic.
Perfect. So, thank you, Your Worship. I'll just get this going. It shouldn't take too long. Most of our stuff is completed. First off, we had the ball diamond fencing that is completed late fall. We actually put a new backdrop off on one of the pitches. I think it's pitch number 2. So a few more to replace in the next year or two, and then that ball diamond should be in great shape. So
Excellent.
next, I got our public works washroom upgrade. We haven't started this yet due to some manpower issues we're currently having. I'm hoping to start it in December, but it might be carried over until the new year. Our handrails in the arena, those were completed. I think those of you who've seen them have been there. We actually looked long and hard for these. We looked at getting them custom made, but managed to find a company for $2,600. So it came in under our budget, and I was pretty happy with that.
And what are you hearing from the public regarding the rails?
They don't mind them. We needed to add a couple more, so we ordered a few more for the top stairs coming out. A few of the seniors like to sit up there, and they said they would appreciate a handrail or two. So we have them, and they're installing them. Next up, we have our compressor number 1 rebuild in the ice arena. That is completed too before the season kicked off. We budgeted $20,000, and we should be anywhere between $5,000 to $6,000 under budget. Just waiting for that bill to come across the desk. Pasanka Park gazebo and the flower garden upgrade, that is completed. Again, it should be under budget. We budgeted $25,000, and just waiting for a final dirt invoice, and we should be anywhere from $5,000 and could be up to $7,000 back.
Any questions so far on this project? Okay, keep going there, Mr. Kuzmic.
Next, we got the post office front stair replacement. That is completed. As I mentioned in my last quarterly report, we did the ramp this year for $13,000 out of the budgeted $26,000. The steps weren't done due to the flower pots being full of dirt, and we didn't want to empty them all out and then notice we would need up to another $25,000 if all the sides of those things need to be replaced as well. I did ask if I could take that remaining $13,000 and put it toward our boilers for the post office. That's a bigger need and a bigger priority in my book. Those parts have been ordered, just waiting for them to come in, and that's estimated at about $10,000 to $11,000 to get that fixed to where we need to get it to.
Is the boiler working right now?
It is hanging on at the moment.
Hopefully it's not minus 30 when they come to fix it.
I believe they're supposed to be out early next week, so looks like the weather's taking a turn over the weekend, so we should be okay. Lastly, last thing we got on our docket for our quarterly update is our pump track. So that has been completed by the end of, well, completed in August. Estimated, we budgeted $5,000. We just took some crush from the landfill. And in lieu, can't remember what his name was, moved all those dirt piles and leveled everything out, and really didn't cost us nothing but staff labor. So.
Oh, Lanyx.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
And that is that for our quarterly update. I did want to touch base if you guys got time. There was that request from Mr. Barkley for the Spring Hockey League. He wanted us to keep the ice in till May 18th. You guys asked me to reach out to him. I did. He's looking for about 3.5 hours of ice time a week.
A week?
Yes, so 1.5 on the weekday and 2 hours on a Sunday. He's not sure how many players he'll have. He's not sure if there will be even games held there. It puts us roughly about, I'm going to say, if we keep the ice into the 18th, about 30 extra days. Cost us about $1,074 a day to run the arena. Works out to about 32,000 and change. Off of him, we'd make about, depending what price we charge him, if he's considered a local group, it's $89 an hour. If he's a non-local group, it's $120. So we're looking at $2,200 to $3,000 in revenue. Minor hockey did say they would keep their 3-on-3 that they always do a little bit longer. And the Prospect Cup is here booked again for April 12th to the 14th. That one they have about 21 hours of ice time, and we make about $2,500 on it for that weekend. Minor hockey's bill last year for their 3-on-3 came to about $5,600. So if we add it up all together for the month of April, we could probably do about $7,700 and change. Different options. I think Mr. Barkley's request is awesome. I just don't know how cost effective it is. It would be nice to see ladies and girls hockey start to go in our town. Maybe compromise is one option, and maybe we do keep the ice in till the end of April, but not until May 18th. And that would give us 15 extra days at about $18,000 cost. Stuff to think about. I know he needs an answer. I did talk to him yesterday as well, so he can try to make other arrangements if it's not possible. Just think that was some of the information you guys had asked, and I'd like to get that to you. So,
Any comments?
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what day did you say we kept ice until last year?
last year was till April 18th.
Okay, so we kept it an extra 18 days about.
Yeah. We've been usually keeping it till the second to third week of April, depending on when that cup's been coming to town.
Okay.
This year it's early before Easter, so the 12th to the 14th. Minor hockey did mention that they would run their camp longer or their 3-on-3 if we had the ice in, but cost analysis pretty tight at the moment everywhere around, and I just don't know if it's worth it.
Well, I think that we should give Mr. Barkley an answer. So if we're saying right now, he's not sure if this is gonna be a go. He's not sure how many players he's gonna have. I mean, we would be interested, but at the price, to make a commitment, right now, I just don't think that we can. I mean, we've sort of semi-committed to the Bantam tournament, the Prospects tournament, and having minor hockey with 3-on-3 until that date is over, I think is fine. But if we look at any revenue after that, so if we're trying to fit some more 3-on-3 in until the middle of May,
You'd probably generate another $2,500 on top of, so let's say $5,000-6,000 total. The ice, we keep it in longer. I'm planning on trying to throw a tournament this year as well, to try to generate some more interest and get our use where it needs to be, but.
go ahead, Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. When did he want to start?
He wants to start April 1st.
I'm just wondering if there's an option for them to start earlier so that they get more time when our ice is in, and then if we do decide to extend it a week or two, or they can use it in the time frame that we have open, that would give them more possibility, but
I can definitely reach out and ask him again. I do know that minor hockey is continually going during that time as well, right around April, so I'm not sure how crazy the ice time will be, but.
for sure. And I just think depending on what the junior B's do in that as well, there'll be slots open up for sure, so there's a possibility.
Usually by the middle of March to the end of March, stuff starts to open up wide.
And has he worked with the girls' hockey team here in Veg? I mean, is someone...
From the email he sent, Your Worship, he said that he has been working with hockey groups all his life with his girls and running it. I mean, it's a good opportunity. I thought if anything, maybe see how it goes this year and find a happy medium and keep your ice till the end of March, or the end of April, sorry, and not take the 2 weeks into May, but even at that, the cost is,
On this if you want.
Go ahead.
And this isn't for decision whether we should do it or not, just to give a little bit more background information. So, first of all, they had a team before, so it's not actually a matter of if it goes or the number of kids. They'll have the team. It was where they were placing it. And unfortunately, we could offer them, hey, there's some early ice, but even March ice doesn't help all that much because of it being a spring league. Most of them start when they finish the other one. So they do an ID skate right away in a couple different times. That might be something they would ask for ice earlier for, because there's sometimes ID skates even in the fall than January and on, but then it's like it ends after the next one goes. So that's not to influence the decision, just to give a little bit more information on it. He ran the team, I think they were called the Silverbacks the year before, but just not out of our ranks. So that was the option of coming in. So
I think he'll
yeah.
have a team too, regardless,
Yeah.
but that's how it sounded positive.
But again, this comes down to us looking at what's viable and feasible, and if we are going to go ahead, we knew that their little amounts were never gonna be, they were just asking to put their team out of here versus somewhere else. It would have to be then that we saw whether we commit to it and go, hey, do we think we can bring in other, or do we think it's not enough time to do that? But just to kind of give you a little bit, that's kind of why the timing shapes out the way it is, and they're not the summer-long league, they're that spring, that kind of short-term spring league with the girls group.
And again, it comes down to how we're using taxpayers' dollars here and how many youth from our community would even be on this team. And, you know, so myself, I can commit to what we did last year, and I don't see it going much further past then, like in my mind. But I just can't justify being $25,000 upside down to run 3 hours of ice for an extra 18, 19 days. It just doesn't, there's just no way, I can't justify that to the taxpayers. Go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll agree with you on that. The problems that we have is that as we go through budget, we're always looking to cut prices, cut monies, and there's small projects that we often dump and cut. It's really hard to, as you just said, Your Worship, to go 25,000 upside down when during budget we're taking some good projects and saying no to them. I think that's where I'm coming from is as much as I love sports and want to support it, it's kind of a crunch at budget time.
I think it would be a little bit different and easier decision if we knew if we had other people willing to come in and rent that time and committed to it.
So I know that he's probably looking for a location, and I know what our ice rental is compared to where he would have to go, and we're 1/3 the cost, and I can see him, but at whose expense? I mean, to get 3 hours a week or 3.5 hours a week out of the facility, it just doesn't. I mean, I would imagine there would be a couple of teams left, but by that time, when we're into May, that the youth are looking at other activities and stuff too by then. So my answer right now would be probably I would not support this. So based on just where the numbers are. So go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Yeah, I'll second that, unless we have a drastic change in other teams or people that want to come here that'll make up that time. 3.5 hours is just it's not viable.
Councillor Lemko.
I concur with the comments made. It just doesn't make financial sense in these times. So I'm with everyone else.
Is there anybody that would be in favor of it? Let me put it that way.
I'll speak to it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not saying necessarily be in favor, but what I'm going to say is they're never going to come to you. It would actually have to be a want of the group. I don't see that, but quite frankly, groups don't come to you. That's not how it works. I've actually run a summer team. So if we actually wanted to do it, then it would be a decision of we were holding it to this time, and then it would be a direction to staff to go out and market it. If we think right now we've got too many projects on the go, it's just not a thing, that's fair enough, and I can get that. But just so we're real aware, as someone who's done this a lot, this isn't they wouldn't come, it's whether or not the willingness is to put in the work, which I don't see. So that's good.
I would agree, it would be a chase down to get them here.
Well, quite an easy one, actually, but we can stick with that.
Where, yeah, so to try to make up the difference.
Yeah.
It would have to take quite a bit of work.
It would be work, yes.
And at what point would we say, well, we're willing to say that if we were to lose 15,000, would that be okay? Or, and again, how many youth here in our community would be using it? I mean, that's what it comes down to me. I mean, you say you were thinking about looking to throw a tournament, like a 3-on-3 tournament or something?
I was thinking of a 6-man or 6-team men's mixed beer league tournament.
Oh, there's hardly any of those, that's good.
Yeah, I think there's a definite need for it in this town, and that would hopefully stir up the interest to keep local teams that are here playing in our own
We'll
facility.
mention that a few times, yeah.
And that would take a little bit of work, but I'm willing to put
At
that
that, in
effort.
that time period is when you'd be looking at holding
I'd
it?
be looking at sometime in April. I probably wouldn't go to the end of April, it starts to get to seeding time, right?
Oh, that,
So
and
that's
yeah,
where
the
you-
soccer,
right?
these beer league, you know, they used to be good hockey players, but they're beer league now.
Right, but I mean, if we did start a men's league or a mixed beer league, it would be, you know, I'm thinking somewhere from November 1st after harvest till the end of March.
So how would we go about this, Mr. Kuzovic? So if we would put it out there that if there's any ice users available, I mean, that are looking for some ice time, is it, like you would go and put it on certain sites or?
Yeah, I don't have the contacts. I know Barkley was going to get me a list of contacts. Sounds like someone else may have some good
Yeah,
contacts to
'cause
look
there's
into
literally,
it.
like messaging boards, and it's pretty simple, so it was one Google.
It would be something easy, I think, to try and see and give it, I don't know, a cutoff, the end of November, and then come back and make that decision to see if we stir
Or
any.
how about we say the new year? I mean,
I think most people will be, their leagues will be picked, the ice times will be bought by that time. It's a crucial window, I think right now is why he's feeling the pressure and we gotta make a decision on what to go. If
When I
not, he's
had to
gotta,
buy mine, everything was bought by October 15th.
yeah.
So I think, I think if it's something we have interest in, and we're not thinking it works for this year, which is, you know, fair, go back to them, tell them what we could offer, who knows, maybe there's some adjustment, or they might wanna practice some of their stuff out. But if it's something we can't, but we have interest, and if we don't have interest at all, then we just say, we don't have interest, not something to look into. If we have interest, then maybe an interactive plan for what would wanna be done on a following year. But then it has to be done with a decision of, you can't really do it a we will see. It has to be done a decision of, okay, we've decided to extend it to here. We're taking the good or the bad this year, and then an actual direction to go and do it. Cause it just can't really be this way, which I think is a fair way to.
No, I would 100% agree with that. I'd rather wait a year myself and then put all that effort into it, right? I don't wanna do anything half-assed. Excuse the language.
okay, well, we're into November now, so I don't think that we can make this work right now. So I'm getting the feeling that we're gonna have to say no to Mr. Barkley.
Direction you want is for me to reach out to him tomorrow and let him know that?
Yeah, it would be,
And still talk about possibly next year?
well, we need some sort of commitment for some other ice users before we could even entertain the thought, you know, like, and how that works, like, Councilor Warwa says that we need to start advertising earlier to fill these spring spots. I guess,
If extending's even somewhere interested in,
yeah.
cause it may not be. Because that's not the flavor that they're used to working at.
Well, I even saw some of the parents at minor hockey that don't even want their kids in 3-on-3 because they're ready to move into the next stage of the year. And again, we're supporting local youth with leaving the ice in at that amount. So, I mean,
And it is our changeover time of the season too, where we're getting ready to do our spring stuff for our facilities. Our, you know, we're closing down our ODRs, we're wrapping up all that stuff. Does it put a strain on those guys a little bit further, and how would that look like too, right?
so I think the consensus would be, Dan, that for right now, that we'd have to show like a whole different spreadsheet on filling up some more hours, and it just doesn't look like that we can make that work this year, so I think that we'll all have to be comfortable with that, so. Okay, Thank you very much.
That's all I got at the moment. Thank you.
Will you be hanging around?
Yes, I will be. I have something to speak at the end,
You
apparently.
may, exactly. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I have another question.
Okay.
Hey, do you have any update about, apparently there's been some issues at the library facility. Has there been some, security?
Their system did go down,
Okay,
so we have ordered the parts. They're supposed to be out, I believe it was either end of this week or early next week to repair that. Their whole system has to be upgraded.
okay, that's what I was wondering.
Not going to upgrade the security cameras at this time. They're still working, but that's all tied into it. So right now they're worried about their key card access and the alarm code. They weren't able to load it. So all that is being looked at and is being taken care of. So Danny has reached out to the library and let them know that as well. But to redo the security system there is looking at 25,000 as well, right? So just paid $5,000 this morning for remember our cold snap that broke all that piping up?
Yeah, and that'll,
That bill finally came in. Now it's another $5,000 unbudgeted for it.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Next up, the Community Engagement Economic Development Manager, Jamison Brown.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. With your permission, I'm wondering if I can throw a bit of a curveball your way and actually have our tourism coordinator, Michelle Gladys, speak to some of the tourism-related budgeted initiatives we completed this year, as well as just a quick recap now that the Visitor Information Center is closed for the season, and then I'll take over from there on some of the other stuff that she doesn't handle.
We welcome the opportunity.
I figured you might. So without further ado, I'll let our coordinator, Michelle Gladys, take it from here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Let's wait for the slides to come up. Okay. Okay, so this is our 2024 quarterly report for tourism. Okay, first of all, we're going to look at the commercial paddle boats. We had asked for $17,000 to remove the old paddle boats and replace them with 2 commercial rated paddle boats. So the reasoning for this was the quality of the new paddle boats would drastically reduce the number of man-hours of maintenance required to keep the boats operating efficiently. And secondly, because of the quality of the new paddle boats, we'd be able to implement a fee to help offset the costs. So the results: this year we had 458 paddle boat rentals, which was almost 100 more rentals than we had anticipated. And it was up from 2023, which was 393 paddle boat rentals. The revenue brought in this year was $2,290. Now, does that pay for the cost of the paddle boats? No, it does not. But if you factor in the number of man-hours that were saved this year, it does. Also, when we factor in how much sturdier the new paddle boats are compared to the old ones, the safety rating goes way up. The new paddle boats are not nearly as tippy, making it a lot easier for guests to get in and out of the boats and making it easier for our staff to assist them. We consider this initiative a win.
Is tip of year actually a word?
You know, I don't know,
Stability.
but they were tippy.
Yeah, I understand. I know what the word, where it's going.
Okay, the next initiative I'm going to talk about is the hard ice cream sales at the Vic. We had asked for $3,500 to make enhancements at the Vic to meet AHS requirements to sell ice cream and to purchase an ice cream dipping cabinet. We were on par for this budget. The results, they are a bit tougher to gauge as we don't have any year-over-year numbers to compare, but we did exceed our expectations. This year, our revenue for food and beverage, which included the ice cream, was $38,761 compared to $6,774 last year. This results in approximately $17,000 in profits, and we had hoped for about $12,000. We also know that we did leave a lot of money on the table by closing at 5 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. Overall, this initiative was a win.
Yeah, and I can let you know that most of the was all positive, but the people that walk down to the park, it'd be on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Yeah, they are walking there with purpose.
Yes. And then they were disappointed when they realized it was closed.
So I walked home.
Okay, so on to some statistics. While this wasn't a boomer year in terms of visitors, we were up compared to last year. This year we had over 68,000 visitors, whereas last year we were just over 64,000 visitors. And while we are still lower than our busiest year, which was 82,000 visitors in 2022, it is important to remember that 2022 was a COVID year and the only thing people could do was go outside. So this year for mini golf, we had 876 paying players, which resulted in $4,380 in revenue. The campground had 1,610 nights camped, which resulted in $39,739 in revenue. Our souvenir sales were at $19,980, which is the highest revenue ever generated for souvenirs. And our overall revenue was $104,961, also the highest revenue ever generated. Some of our survey results. So this year we did see visitors from all over Canada and throughout the world, including USA, Australia, United Kingdom, Ukraine, and many more. Not only did we add ice cream to the list of things for our Vic staff to do, we also asked them to survey as many visitors as possible. We received a total of 510 tourists were surveyed. Not surprisingly, almost half of the visitors came to Vegreville to see the world's largest Pesanka. The majority of the visitors came from the Edmonton area. Based on those who were surveyed, we received a 9.3 rating, which is pretty impressive. And worth noting, the last question on the survey was, is there anything that we can do to better enhance your next visit to Vegreville? This unprompted feedback included several people who referenced better wayfinding signage. And that is it for my presentation. Are there any questions?
They said wayfinding.
No, they said signage.
Okay.
They said signage, but they did describe it in a way as better signage to find their way to the egg.
Okay.
There was a few of them were pretty specific. Highway, in-town signage was both referenced.
Well, that just supports what our theory is too on this.
Any questions?
Okay, who's got the questions? Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. How much did it cost for the professional actors in the picture at the front with the paddle boat? Couldn't have been cheap.
I won't disclose what we were about to do, but it may or may not have been our hope to catch a drone that got caught in a tree the day that we were filming.
On a mission. No, and being part of the tourism board, like I see this stuff all the time and I report on it too. So it's awesome to see that things are moving forward and even a lot of visitors, even though it's not a COVID year. Yeah, that's awesome. Good work with all the initiatives.
So, is there any plans for the mini golf?
Specifically, what are you?
To dress it up a little bit more, or is it just going to be the way it is?
You don't like the obstacles?
Well,
We do have, I think, some plans to better enhance the area, but obviously it's a matter of working it into the budgets and different projects. And even with the power that we now have on site, we have other ideas with possibly music and lighting and different things too. So.
Okay. But no zip lines.
Zip lines has not made it past the initial pitch process yet.
Just across the pond. But it's
Oh, boy.
That has nothing to do with mini golf.
Okay, any other questions for Michelle? Well, good job, and yeah, we've all heard very good positive comments over the last few years about people's experience there at Pesanka Park, and we're quite happy with the overall revenue, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll turn it back to the manager, Jameson Brown.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. All right. Nice work. So, in terms of budgeted projects that did not get covered, but we did kind of gloss over it just a moment ago, and that was the electrical installation near Pesicaputput. It was budgeted, it is on track and complete, and it finished at $10,000, which is what we budgeted the project for. Truth be told, this one was a bit of a waking nightmare. It took a lot longer than we were hoping. Unfortunately, we ran into some delays that were outside of our control and really outside of anybody's control. When you're working with ATCO in this case, their priority shifted greatly, as you can imagine, when the Jasper wildfires broke out, and that's where a lot of their efforts were concentrated. So it did create some delays on our end, but I'm happy to report that it is mission accomplished. Next, and I beg your pardon if I'm going off of script when it comes to what's in front of you, but next on mine is the enhanced advertising marketing. This was budgeted. It remains on track. We will wrap this. This was a project that was always going to take us to the end of the calendar year. The estimated budget for this was $65,000, and to date we've allocated about $60,000 of that. That, of course, includes the currently underway IE adjacent billboard campaign, other campaigns in the National Post through Media Planet and other print campaigns, as well as digital campaigns. Enhanced marketing budget continues to generate leads, as well as top of mind awareness when it comes to bringing outside investment to Vegreville. When I speak to some of the data, our landing page for the economic development website, which is choosevegreville.com, from August to October of 2024, 3,360 website views by user. That's a 339% increase in website traffic compared to those same months in 2023. And from January to October 2024, so this calendar year, 7,406 website visits. That's a 160% increase in website traffic compared to those same months in 2023. And again, this website is strategically designed for economic development opportunities in Vegreville. We don't post, kind of local notices there. This is, specifically for people who may not be aware of Vegreville, but to find information on who we are as a community and to really sell ourselves to outside investment, whether it's industry, business, or potential future residents. We've extended the billboard campaign to the end of 2024. That will fall into our budgeted request. Our YouTube views for January to October 2024, 72,814. That's a 605% increase in views compared to the same months in 2023. Google Ads Performance Max campaign currently underway until the end of December. Since its launch in September, the campaign has accumulated over 150,000 impressions, which is basically equivalent to every time your ad is shown on a search result page or other sites on the Google network. This has resulted in an additional 2,300 clicks directly to Vegreville.com. And then just in terms of increasing our awareness as a community, Vegreville.com continues to, be miles ahead of where we were last year and where we thought we'd be. August to October of 2024, 22,268 website views. That's an 11% increase compared to the same months last year. And then this year, January through to October, 79,443 website views. That's a 17% increase compared to the same months. So we are starting to see the fruits of the labor when it comes to the enhanced marketing and really trying to sell that Vegreville story and sell and promote Vegreville as a great place to live, work, and play. Up next on my list, and I again apologize if it's out of order, that would be on me, not you. Council Chamber Streaming System Diagnostic Check. This is budgeted. We are asking and did ask for $15,000. We made some headway in this regard, but and we are still continuing conversations with an Edmonton-based audio-visual firm. This is following a site visit and assessment of council chambers. However, in conversation with Corporate Services Director Saskew, we've actually paused this project until a decision is made regarding the town's IT provider, as there may be synergies and potential service overlap. So when we determine what we're doing in terms of our IT, we don't want to potentially put ourselves in a spot where what could be covered by an IT firm is also being covered by a second firm, costing us more money. So we're going to wait and get some direction on that. Michelle already talked about the paddle boats, our professional marketing content creation. This is essentially now complete. $25,000 is what we asked for. After we received the $25,000 from council for this project, we went out looking for a grant to maybe help cover some of the costs, and we were eligible and did actually receive the Small Community Opportunities Program grant, which covered $20,000 of the $25,000 ask. So really $5,000 is what this project is going to cost the ratepayers of Vegreville. And the content team has already captured drone footage, videos, and photos from the Father's Day event, the Canada Day Color Run, the Pesica Festival, and the Country Fair. Worth noting that we applied with support from the Cultural Association and the Ag Society for this grant. So thank you to those two organizations for seeing the value in this. Additionally, the team gathered footage of various town attractions, including the golf course, the spray park, and more. We're awaiting the finished product from the content team as well. The content team will be back for a very Vegreville Christmas light up parade and the event to ensure we have some winter community footage and that content is captured. And I believe the last one I have for you is the sports and events hosting grant. Budgeted, on track. Grant program was launched. We asked for $7,500, and to date, we've given away 3 $1,500 grants to St. Mary's Catholic High School senior boys basketball team as the provincial tournament hosts, the Vegreville Minor Soccer Association as host of the Lakeland Cup, and most recently the Vegreville Junior B Rangers 50th anniversary celebrations. We're going to continue the promotion of this grant, let people know it's available, and again, try to continue our promotion of people bringing events to town through the provision of this grant, or hoping it will help offset some of those costs. Any questions?
Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Well, it's good news to hear some good results coming out of this enhanced program that's put forward. So can't wait to see what happens next. Still room in the grant money for those sports events. That would be interesting to see if anything else develops in short order, but good news all around.
Yeah, and again, with that enhanced advertised marketing, I mean, myself personally, I know from other elected officials, just some of our advertising, especially in Prosperity Park, have phoned me and say, how can you guys do this? Like, to sell this land at this price? And actually, I think they're a little jealous about our situation, but it's nice to hear from other elected officials, especially if it's in a good note. So. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much, your team, Jameson, and carry on.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have here a letter from the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and it's regarding partnering for the town of Vegreville's sustainable water future. So I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing on behalf of the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance to thank you for your past contributions and to request your continued support in 2024. Your ongoing partnership is crucial to maintaining the environmental health of the town of Vegreville and the entire watershed. This is an old letter. Yeah, that's for 2024. That's okay. Water management is central to the town of Vegreville's well-being. Clean drinking water, protection for floods and droughts, and effective stormwater systems are vital to your community's prosperity. The wetlands, streams, and lakes in and around Vegreville are all connected to the larger North Saskatchewan watershed, meaning water issues can't be managed in isolation. What happens upstream affects you, and your actions affect your neighbors downstream. That's why regional cooperation through the NSWA is so essential. For 25 years, the NSWA has been at the forefront of water management in our region, bringing together municipalities, government bodies, and experts to address the complex water challenges. Last year, the town of Vegreville was one of 47 municipalities that joined forces to support this essential work. This year, we ask for your continued collaboration and a contribution of $3377.40 to sustain these efforts. Your support enables practical, science-driven water management tools to inform local decision-making, collaborative solutions for water quality, flood risks, and drought preparedness, and cutting-edge projects like the State of the Watershed Update using the Global Standard Freshwater Health Index will offer a comprehensive view of the North Saskatchewan River's health. This will help the Beaver County set private priorities and provide tools to communicate water health to your residents. Your contribution makes this possible. So they invite us to explore the latest annual report or visit their website for more information. So they sincerely appreciate your ongoing commitment to water stewardship and look forward to continuing our partnership into 2025. So as an update for these dollar values, so the $3377.40 is equivalent to what we paid in 2024, and in 2023 the value was $28.54. So it's a slight increase, but not significant.
Okay. Any comments regarding the letter? Go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know this letter is from the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and that may seem a little bit stranger because of the fact that we're really with the Vermilion River. But the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance is now actually just part of the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. And we're having a meeting again on this Friday to keep looking at how things are changing and looking at what will be some of the next steps within the Vermilion River. The executive and even the administrative group of the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance have recognized that they're not really paying as much attention to the sub-watersheds as they should be. So this is part of the ongoing of what we're going to be looking at, is how we incorporate this. And the decision, we don't have a coordinator here at the moment. She moved on to a different occupation and job. So some of the discussions are, do they hire another coordinator to work out of Edmonton with the North Saskatchewan Watershed, or do they consider looking at hiring somebody who can be within the watershed and more local? So we're doing some discussions as to how we, and it's the Sturgeon River and the headwaters, which are two of the other sub-watershed areas, are also under some changes as well. And because the main stem over the last few years has taken more of the priority. And it's a matter of us coming up as to how we can come with more grant monies in order to start doing some more projects. Right at this point in time, though, I think that even in their last newsletter, they made a nice blog there giving kudos and explanation to what Vegreville has done in terms of the project at the gravesite, at the graveyard. I think that Vegreville, we've been very responsible when it comes to the matters of what is important to the Vermilion River watershed. In the one that is being done now at the gravesite, you can take a look at Prosperity Park and looking at how we're treating the runoff from there, and we can go to North Park drainage that now is actually becoming quite a nice wetland. So I think that we have been very responsible. So I still think that we should continue to support the North Saskatchewan River Watershed Alliance.
So when they sort of contracted and went back away from the subcommittee of the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance, and they was all captured under the North Saskatchewan, do you think that they feel that they might have made a mistake, or there's just not enough representation on the board without having the other? Or?
It has not been a mistake because we weren't capable in the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance of obtaining grants. We could apply, but we would not have been as successful. And if we did apply on our own to try and get grant monies, then we would have to start having administrative employees to actually work on that and cover it. By being just part of the North Saskatchewan River Watershed Alliance and relying on them, then they cover off an awful lot of the costs. and they are the ones that go out after grants. It's just that in the last little while, they've been successful in landing grants that dealt with the main stem. Now they have to get refocused again and start looking at overall grants. So what we're actually hoping is, can they get overall grants where all of the sub-watersheds are doing some of the same work, so that we coordinate and become better adapted to what the watershed means. And so we're looking at some of those aspects right now in terms of what is the best direction. But certainly, it didn't work out to be a society and try and run our own show and then expect them to do all the administrative work for us. So this way, it's all one package, and I think that it will, it's just that it's hard to keep up excitement within a sub-watershed when you don't have any grants to do projects. So I think that's where the focus just gone. I mean, in the last while, the only successful major project that occurred is the one that our staff did for the bank stabilization at the graveyard. So, I mean, actually, we carried the load there and did a great project that is benefit to the Vermilion River watershed. And it is recognized by the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance.
Excellent. Any other questions regarding the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance? Okay. Is there a conference coming up fairly soon?
They do more workshops and not really actual conferences. People from this group go to conferences, but they don't actually hold conferences themselves. But they do hold, they have a blog series, and they do have events where they bring in guest speakers and try and share information in that way. But it's more when projects are going on.
Okay. So, no other questions regarding that? So that'll be brought to council meeting on Wednesday. Thank you very much, Director Saskew. Next up, CAO Ling.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next up is the Veterans Memorial Highway Association. And at the October 28th council meeting, Town Council reviewed a letter from the Veteran Memorial Highway Association requesting council to reconnect with the VMHA. The Veteran Memorial Highway Association is dedicated to promoting economic development, tourism, and community growth along Highway 36 and 881. Council has previously opted to withdraw membership in October of 2018 after 6 years in the association. The association has made a number of changes since the town was last a member, including the launch of a new tourism initiative called Explore the Eastern Route and an updated VMHA website in 2025. VMHA zone meetings are held between 2 and 5 times a year with an additional annual general meeting. Members are able to attend meetings either in person or virtually via Zoom. The cost of the membership for the Veteran Memorial Highway Association is 15 cents per capita. Based on Vegreville's population of 5,689, the cost to the town would be $853.35 annually. If council opts to rejoin the Veterans Memorial Highway Association, administration will communicate the decision and the information to the appointed town council information for the appointed town council member to the VMHA executive director. So the options before council today are to discuss to see if they wish to rejoin and appoint a council representative to the Veterans Memorial Highway Association, or to opt to not rejoin the Veteran Memorial Highway Association. And just of note, we did some past looking. Back in 2023, they were at 10 cents per capita, and it has since raised to 15 cents for 2025.
Okay, so we'll have this discussion on Wednesday.
Yeah, we can add it to the budget, and you guys can do that in,
Well, I think
discuss
what,
it into budget meetings, yes.
I think we'll have this letter presented at the council meeting and we'll make our decision.
It was received and filed last council meeting.
Oh,
So if you want, we can bring it forward to, sorry, you said Tuesday. Tuesday's our budget meeting, Wednesday is our council meeting, because Monday is the holiday, so,
yeah.
yeah, we can bring it back to the council meeting, that's,
Well, if we're gonna make a decision, I mean, we can have some discussion on this now. Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Just a couple questions. I'd like to direct one to the seed manager. They mentioned tourism in here. Is this one of those situations where it might affect us if we're part of this group, for us applying grants possibly? And another question was, maybe the mayor would know more about this. Are they a member of Alberta Hub?
No, they're not.
To answer your question, I'll be perfectly blunt when I say that I believe that this publication probably took a step back for a few years, because and I put a copy of the most recent publication. I believe that was what you were just holding up. That's the first I've seen since I've been in this position. So do I see the benefit of promoting our community in this magazine? Potentially, but I would like to know the distribution of the magazine, where the magazine's going to be housed and stored, and where people can actually find the magazine, right? Because that's where you're going to find the value. Anybody can, we can showcase ourselves in all sorts of publications, but if we don't have a clear direction or understanding as to where people can find the magazine, then I can't answer that question. And I have not heard anything about that end of this publication since this came to the light.
Okay, thank you.
So I can tell you, I mean, the Highway 36 Memorial Highway is important, a transportation corridor for Vegreville and the future growth and the economic outcome of our town, because when we advertise to industry or to anybody, we always use that as one of the transportation routes going north and south. We know that it is a wide load corridor and a lot of stuff from ports to plains, all the Ritas from northern Alberta all the way down to the Alberta-Montana border have an association called Ports to Plains, because that highway runs all the way down to Texas. The problem that we've seen in the past was there wasn't a lot of outcomes or positive outcomes from the meetings. This is the first time I've ever seen a book produced, and the meetings were quite a ways away. They, for a counselor to drive, all the way down to the border for a meeting is quite a bit. I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't changed, because it looks like that they've changed the way they operate now, and to be this type of advertising. The Highway 36 is something that we use in all of our advertising. So, I mean, the decision, do we want to put a council member on that board again? That's what it is. I mean, the per capita is really not crazy, but if we're to be on there, it would be the commitment of a councillor to be going to the meetings. So that's the question that we're taking right now, so. Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Yeah, Your Worship, I once sat on this Memorial Highway Association as a representative from the town. And you're right, it was difficult to attend meetings, but since then we have the virtual component that we could attend. So the meetings were held, it could be in Hannah, could be in Lac-La-Biche, McMurray, depending on the rotation cycle. They've made some progress by the looks of it. They do have an executive director, which they never had in the past. It used to be the chair, who was a member of the municipalities involved, would chair the meetings and run the business of the association. So they've made some strides. I don't think it would be harmful to once again join this association for the betterment of for Vegreville, as it does pass through our area, and tourism is huge for our community.
Well, there we have it from a past member of the, not the executive board, but of the association overall. So do you want to, we would have to entertain a motion at a council meeting to appoint a member to this association, and at that time, we would have to be included in the budget, correct?
Yes, correct. As it affects the council board meeting structure, it will have to be a motion of council to appoint somebody.
So does anybody need any more information regarding this association before Wednesday's council meeting? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Well, I was looking on their website and stuff like that, and I don't, you know, it's, I guess I could see some benefit of joining it for the fact of just regional collaboration. Like the chair of it, he's county councillor of Two Hills, right? So, so I see some, maybe a possibility of benefit of a relationship there, and I put my name forward if it goes that way.
Okay. Okay, so that question will be brought to Wednesday's council meeting. Thank you. Next up, we have a letter from yeah, okay. Is Dennis? Okay. Greetings, Mayor McPhee. As an active member of the Ukrainian-Canadian community with government relations experience, we advocate for the needs of our municipalities both in Canada and Ukraine. We have witnessed firsthand the value of local partnerships that provide tangible support to the people of Ukraine during this difficult period. The draft template letter seeks to encourage the FCM to take meaningful steps in supporting these relationships. And we believe it is crucial that the mayors of municipalities with twin relationships with Ukraine show their support. By sending this letter, you will be advocating for the comprehensive program, compensative program that not only facilitate partnerships with the Ukrainian cities, but also seeks federal government support for knowledge sharing and funding to ensure the stability of these important agreements. Your support would help ensure that Canadian municipalities continue to stand in solidarity with their Ukrainian counterparts, fostering a variety of exchanges that will benefit both our nations for years to come. We believe that maintaining and strengthening these partnerships is a critical step towards helping Ukraine rebuild and learning from their experiences. We respectfully ask that you review the attached letter and consider adding your signature to support of this initiative. If you have any questions about the request, feel free to reach out to us. Okay. What is the second part here, Sandra? Is this the template?
Yes, it's a letter template that was sent along with this ask, and it's addressed to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And it is requesting, in the Coles Notes version, requesting the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to take the following actions: program development, government communication, knowledge sharing, and government funding.
Okay. So basically, they just want us to support this,
Yeah, they're
this
just
letter through
looking,
the FCM.
yeah, they're looking for our council to send a letter to FCM supporting this initiative.
Okay. Does anybody have any objections to this? Are we gonna wait to make a motion of council on this?
As there's no monetary value to this, it can just be a consensus of council.
Okay, then we'll go ahead. Next, we have a letter from Tanya Hawkins, from the Vegreville Agricultural Society. Dear Town of Vegreville Councilors, the Vegreville Agricultural Society would like to invite one town councilor to join us at the 2025 Alberta Association of Agricultural Societies Conference, February 6th to 8th. The conference is at the River Cree Resort in Edmonton, and the Ag Society would cover the costs associated with the conference for a town councilor delegate. Please let our office manager, Rachel Farr, know prior to November the 30th. Who was our rep on the Vegreville Agricultural Society?
That's Councillor Barry.
You were gonna be at the River Cree anyway that weekend.
There's a watershed conference.
Are you willing to go to that conference?
Yes, just for a little bit of background on this, they're actually been talking about this for a few months in terms of inviting a town councillor and a county councillor to attend. Their reasoning behind it is that they feel that this is a good conference that really shows what the ag societies are all about, and that for both town and county, it would be an opportunity for them to see just a little bit more and get a little more insight into what is taking place, and just keep the partnership, I guess you could say, between the municipalities and the Ag Society, and just kind of strengthen things in terms of working together. So, yeah, I probably would be interested in attending this.
Okay, well, go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Just saying, I've had the fortunate to attend one of these events with the Vegreville Agricultural Society. It's an eye-opener of what ag societies actually are capable and what they do. So Councillor Berry has to go. That's going to be really good for him to see.
Excellent.
Very important.
Thank you very much. So let us know how it goes. Okay. CAO Ling, you take this next one, considering when I blow it up.
Okay, I will try.
I'm gonna have to have these on paper.
Yes, well, and unfortunately, I need some of these names written out phonetically, so I pronounce them correctly as well. So this next letter, and I'll apologize beforehand for butchering any names, is from Oleg Knevitz, the mayor of Stree City Council, and it's support for Zelensky's victory plan. And for those that don't know, Stree is one of our twin cities in the Ukraine. So it's, dear partners, we sincerely thank you for your unwavering support and solidarity with Ukraine during this challenging time. As our reliable partners, you help us on the path to peace and freedom, and we greatly appreciate your willingness to stand with us in our struggle for Ukraine independence and security. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has introduced the Victory Plan, which consists of 5 key points essential for restoring peace, security, and stability in our region and Europe as a whole. This plan includes, number 1, an invitation of Ukraine to NATO. The fundamental step here is the unconditional invitation of Ukraine to NATO. This would send an important signal to the world and the aggressor that Ukraine's Euro integration is irreversible and its place in democratic Europe is indisputable. Such a decision would strengthen stability in Europe and lay the foundation for long-term peace. Number 2, defense. The second point focuses on supporting Ukraine's defense through international military assistance. A critical aspect includes receiving weapons, strengthening air defense, and real-time access to intelligence, which will help Ukraine contain aggression and ensure reserves for prolonged defense. Number 3, deterrence. Ukraine proposes to establish a deterrent system on its territory, non-nuclear in nature, but sufficient to repel any threat from Russia. This means the aggressor will be forced to choose between diplomacy and loses in its military potential. Number 4, strategic economic potential. The fourth point foresees joint investments with international partners in Ukraine's critical resources, such as uranium, titanium, lithium, and other minerals. This will enhance the economic potential for both Ukraine and Europe, providing new opportunities for mutual development. And number 5, post-war security. The fifth point targets the post-war period. Ukraine proposes to leverage its unique military experience within the context of NATO's defense, which can help strengthen European security and provide Ukrainian military personnel the opportunity to contribute to the stability of the alliance. We appeal to you to prepare official appeals from your municipalities to the governments of your countries in support of the Victory Plan and convey its importance to national leaders. Gaining broad support for these initiatives is crucial for ensuring a shared European future market by peace and prosperity. We are confident with your assistance that we can draw international attention to the necessity of supporting this plan and take a significant step together towards victory and lasting peace. With gratitude and hope for continued cooperation. Regards, Mayor Street.
Okay. So at what level of government would they like us to send our support? Both levels?
I would guess it would be to federal.
Maybe we should write a letter to Putin and tell him what's gonna happen. Really?
We could work on that for you.
Why not? I mean, it was kind of open-ended here, this whole thing, but, I mean, we've shown, and, I mean, if a letter supports their overall recovery plan or what they want to do, then that's fine. I guess we can draw something up. But I really...
Well, I think we could write a letter on behalf of council to the federal government, asking for the Canadian support to the Ukrainian induction into NATO. Not sure how far it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty big. I don't know, maybe we should, I don't know, I mean, we certainly want to, that's one of our sister cities. We want to show them that we're supporting them.
Maybe we could loop in our MLA, who is the parliamentary secretary for Ukrainian settlement, and get some guidance from her and her office about what we could possibly do.
Okay,
And I'll just give you one.
go ahead.
And I think that's a good idea. The other thing potentially you can do is a letter just reinforcing the support that we've had as a community and as a country. We wish to see that continue. We wish to raise to your attention the asks of, and then provide their letter. That is a way to, let them, this is their words, we're bringing it forward. And we say we support them without it being an ask into NATO or any of those specifics, but it is a way to say we continue to support all efforts towards victory for the country and wish to bring your attention their asks for their victory plan. So it's kind of like presenting their plan. You can do that on a federal level as well, just as another way versus the outright asks themselves.
Okay, I guess we have a direction.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Warwa. That's a very good idea.
Okay, you're not gonna believe this, but Councillor Curtis showed me something and it sure made a difference on my screen.
Did he show you to make it big?
Well, I was getting bigger, but it was in a different way. Now it's not as fuzzy, blurry, yeah, it's a lot better, so. Our next letter is from Natalia Toroshenko, the chair of Vegreville and Area Stands with Ukraine. Mayor and councilors of the town of Vegreville, On behalf of the Vegreville and Area Stands with Ukraine Committee, it is my honor to thank you, through you, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rick McIver, for bestowing upon us this partnership award for supporting Ukrainians fleeing the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We are proud to be recognized among other strong volunteers from the Vegreville Cultural Association, St. Michael's, Vegreville Manor, and of course the town of Vegreville. It is the power of community and collective action that makes successful volunteer groups like ours. Simply, we are stronger together. We thank the town for celebrating our award through public recognition at the start of a council meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd. After many pictures and handshakes, the crowd began to disperse before I could speak to all to express our thanks, hence this written message. The Vegreville and Area Stands with Ukraine Committee has had an autumn full of awards, one from the provincial government through Minister McIver, and the Hitman Award from our Alberta Ukrainian Committee. We don't do our work for the rewards, but recognition from the peers and neighbors in both municipalities and provincial fields is deeply felt and graciously received. Thank you, from Natalia Toroshenko. Well, very nice letter. Councillor Lemko, can you tell me what happened after the awards at the next meeting?
A celebration of happiness amongst the group, amongst the beauty of it was among the Ukrainian folks we supported to get here, and how happy they were with this award, recognizing the work of the committee. It's a good feel. It's a very good feel from that group and the many people they supported. So kudos to administration and council for putting that award into minister's department, and kudos to them for recognizing the work that's being done by groups such as the Vegreville Area Stands with Ukraine. And thanks, Natalia, for writing that letter.
Excellent. Any other comments? Okay. CAO Ling, you have the next one.
All right, okay, this next letter came in. Dear Mayor McPhee and members of Town Council, I'm hoping this letter finds you all well. I'm writing on behalf of the Vegreville Academy of Ukrainian Dance Association, Svitlo dancers, who rent the social center for 2 large performances each year. We appreciate the opportunity to rent and utilize the space as it plays a crucial role for our community events. However, I must bring to your attention a concern regarding the stage lighting at the Vegreville Social Center. Unfortunately, the stage lighting has not been functioning since May of 2023, which has been brought to the attention of Dan Kuzmic, manager of Parks, Recreation and Facilities with the town of Vegreville, and to date has not been fixed. We have created our own stage lighting using 2 plug-in halogen lights that members of our club set up and have mounted so that we would have some stage lighting for our performances. Photos are attached for your reference on what we currently use for stage lighting. Vegreville School of Ballet also requires stage lighting, so our club leaves the lights mounted for their performance and any other performers as well. There are proper stage lights mounted in the social center but do not work. As we pay rent to use this facility, we believe it is important to ensure that all amenities in the facility are in working order. We kindly request Mayor McPhee and Town Council address this issue promptly, as it affects not just our group but other organizations that use the stage for performances. Adequate and proper stage lighting is essential not only for the quality of our presentations but also for the safety of our participants. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We look forward to your prompt response and seeing improvements in the stage lighting in the social center. Sincerely, Rianne Yakimik, President of the Vegreville Academy of Ukrainian Dance Association.
Okay, so after we received this letter, I forwarded this letter to CAO Ling and to Manager Kuzmic. I think Manager Kuzmic's response should be read, and if you would Manager, let's hear our side of this.
Sure, I can do that for you. Starts out, good morning, Tim and Sandra. Just wanted to shed some light, no pun intended, on the stage lighting in the social center before today's alleged meeting. We know about the lighting issue and have brought contractors in to look at these issues 3 different times. They seem to get them working, and within a week or so, they stop working again. After the 3rd time, and through discussion with the contractor, we plan to replace the lighting system with new LED lights and possibly a new lighting bar. Unfortunately, we've not been able to achieve this as of yet. We understand that Ukraine dance is a very important part of our community and that people are passionate about it. Our intention is still to complete this before their first use of the social center in January 27th, 2025. The only reason this hasn't been accomplished yet is that it moved down on the priority list. As we all know, the shape of our facilities needs some attention, and there was / is only so much money to do all this. Things that took a higher priority at the social center were issues with the roof, drainage, and the leaks they caused, our HVAC, air conditioning / heating issues, the kitchen stove / appliances, the dishwasher breakdowns, the inside kitchen plumbing drainage, kitchen ventilation issues, broken toilets and washroom fixtures, our broken floor machine, and now we're dealing with some AH&S issues with the tiles behind the stoves and the dishwashers that need our attention. These were all unbudgeted items that came out of the allotted $50,000 to our facilities, not to mention all the other town facility issues that have arose during this time. As much as I want to fix everything that comes across my desk right away, the reality is that the funds only go so far, and some tough decisions had to be made based on priority. We will get this done in January once the new budget comes out. And oh, we did purchase some floor lights, some floor floodlights that's just we put up on the stage to help with their lighting during this time. Hope I didn't ramble on too much.
Okay, so, again, it's not like our facilities team has not been trying to rectify this problem. I mean, bring out a contractor, says it's fixed, a week later, down they go. And there's been a lot of different priorities that Manager Kuzmic's been tasked with over there. And again, it is an aging facility, and we need to take a look at what the future looks like moving forward with that facility if we don't end up putting some money into a budget. You know, we can't do everything at once, but we really need to consider if that is going to be our showcase hall for the town, then we need to start investing some money in it moving forward. I'm glad that you will have this done in next year's budget before their first use by the dance group. I mean, on behalf of ourselves and the town of Vegreville, I mean, we can apologize all we want that it's not like we have been avoiding fixing them. We've been trying. It just has not got to the point where it's moved up that high on the priority list compared to some of the other items that we're seeing go wrong over there.
I wish I could fix them all, but the reality is it's just not going to happen sometimes.
But we can guarantee them that it will be fixed before the next usage. Any other comments regarding this letter or Dan's explanation of where we're at with on the priority list there? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Well, I'm glad to know, not glad to know of all the breakdowns and stuff like that. So I guess this will be an issue that comes up in budget a little more, and we're gonna have to take a serious look, like you say, and hopefully everyone's gonna be happy with our decision in budget time.
Well, I'll guarantee that ain't gonna happen. Anyway, thanks for staying on here, Manager Kuzmic. I know that when people look at their overall situation and think that's the biggest concern that we have at that facility, it really isn't. The roof, the plumbing, these take, and we know that what we gave you for a budget and try to get these things fixed, and more things just sort of jumped up in front of you. But we will get back to to the dancers and let them know that that will be done. And Manager Kuzmic, if you feel at any point as we're getting closer to this date that you can't get it done, would you please come back and let us know?
Most definitely. So far, I don't think it'll be an issue.
No other questions? Okay. Thank you. We'll move to round table. We'll start with Councilor Wawa. Oh, sorry. All right. Oh, it's not your highlight time yet. No. Okay. Because I always forget your highlights. Sorry about that. Not always. Once I get it right. Councilor Wawa.
I actually only have one left. I had a couple, but some of them got answered during the meeting, so that was good. I had somebody bring forward to us, I just wanted to share the concern that came and then wonder if they want to explore it more, which department and where they should send it to. So what came to me is that there's been some rising concern in the community. It seems like there has been some of it starts on social media that's been sharing, but it seems in the last little bit there's been some sharing of concern about potential unsafe situations for youth being approached by some individuals or somebody kind of walking around individuals. Apparently this has happened 3 or 4 times in the past 2 weeks. Some concern that a gentleman was hanging around the school and just some issues like that. So when the person reached out to me, they asked if the town of Vegreville would ever consider hosting like a self-defense, what to do type of class. There are some of these that have happened in Edmonton, as well as like some gyms will offer them and whatnot. I told them there'd be no answer, I would just bring it to them. And what they were looking at was whether we would consider potentially looking into bringing in someone to do that. If we would, the individual that reached out to me said that they have been taking some training and they would be willing to be certified, understanding that if the town ever hosted something, it would have to be certified. They were hoping to see something that wasn't a deterrent on cost, so something that would be hosted by somebody versus it being where you had to pay. But they also said if it wasn't a case where, there might be an interest in them, getting certified and going ahead, they would even be willing to help. So I'm just wondering, even if we were interested, who I should direct them to do the first outreach. And then, is it Dan? I get, because Dan's got a smiling, so I'm assuming maybe to him. Is that where we should send him?
So are you talking about sort of a self-defense class or a class on being aware of your surroundings? What should set off different signals?
So from what I understand, they were looking at mirroring it a little bit like one of the ones that was open to kind of all age groups, could be done as separate classes or could open together. So 2 things. One is like bringing children and being able to teach them of what do you do in a scenario if someone approaches you, the idea of going to a business versus maybe getting scared and going in an alley, like a little bit of a, hey, what do you do type of thing. And then there are some actual self-defense classes as well that talk about if you are in a situation, what can you do, is like the old school, sing kind of response for, solar plex, all that, good things. Again, this was very preliminary. They were just reaching out to see if the town would even have interest in being the hosts on something like this. I did say that the first thing would be to look into, if other communities, if we identified specific other communities that have put them on, or whether in all cases they were put on by a third party entity. But it was just something that came as a concern. This person said that they had a relative that was involved in a situation that was somewhat frightening for the child, but the child knew what to do, knew to go, particularly to a business, not to run to, an alley or try to hide or whatnot, but said that there was a concern then that do kids know this? And there used to be a lot of programs that were offered through schools and whatnot that talked about, way back when, although some of those programs failed, as we taught programs like Stranger Danger that unfortunately then suggested to kids that the only time there is a fear was if somebody was dressed as like a tall black figure. And then we started to realize that that wasn't necessarily the right approach that went in schools. But I don't know if there is something offered right now, but their outreach was to kind of look and see if the town would have interest. So I kind of thought that might be either FCSS or Recreation to direct them to, but I guess I'm wondering where we should suggest they go to.
Well, I think at one time when we had the school resource officer, especially at the elementary school level, that would be an expectation that this would something that the RCMP would probably bring through that school resource officer, but I don't know, maybe we could take a look at FCSS. Do they have something that they can take to the communities? Maybe we should approach the school boards. I mean, maybe that conversation is something that we should have, that type of training for children.
I can start with FCSS and see what they have in their programming and in their mandates and stuff like that. But there's a couple different avenues that come to mind too, including our CPO program and having, I do know our officers go through the schools and just kind of ensure that there's a presence there to get the kids used to seeing people in uniform and that they're not scary and that. So it is definitely something that we can look into.
Should I send you an email, just an overview of everything that they brought to me, and then let you go from there? Would that work?
Yes, please, that would be great. Okay, thank you.
So as far as go ahead, Councillor Barry, sorry.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but thank you. This reminds me a little bit of when I was living in Edmonton and Millwoods area. We had, and I think through other communities, we had neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
And what it was through the schools. Basically, you had to be in neighborhood watch, you had to have background checking, et cetera. But children traveling in the area, if you were home, you put the sign up in your front window, neighborhood watch, and if anything came up, they knew they could safely come to your door. So maybe there's a way of incorporating that we start getting a little bit of a neighborhood watch, get a little bit of where we actually are looking out for our neighbor and our neighbor's kids.
Yeah, and maybe there is a bit of a business model to be put forward for, a self-defense course and stuff, if somebody wanted to teach that, and it's probably a need right now. I mean, I don't really think I've ever seen a self-defense course put on in Vegreville before.
Well, and from what I understand from this individual, there's quite a few gyms in the city that are actually starting to do this, that they're offering them both youth and of course, then it's a certified comes in and trains it, because it's adapted different for different groups and different scenarios. But the interesting thing about it was they were sort of saying it's the kind that you can put forward potentially to people that, look, self-defense doesn't automatically, it's not a fighting course, it's not a boxing course, it's what can you do, and what can you do can be a real thing for adult men, adult women, children, a little bit of what happens if you're in that final scenario. So I'll email Sandra kind of an overview of all the stuff, and then maybe go from there.
Yeah, well, even identifying a situation that you were putting yourself in a situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Worship. Actually, I had some good things brought to me at times, so it was rather enjoyable. One of them is the news release that is coming fortified out a little bit more here now, is they're talking about the 100 new daycare spaces coming to Vegreville. A few people have indicated to me that this is a really good news story, that very pleased to see that we've managed to work with a group that's going to bring this and bring it forward. And I know certainly when I brought it up at the Doctors Attraction and Retention Group, they were very pleased, because that is one of the things that makes it difficult sometimes to get healthcare workers here if they don't have daycare spaces. So it's something that was, 2 or 3 people have brought it up to me as being kudos. So I think it's nice to get some of those pats in the back now and then. And I share that with council administration. I didn't mean that I should take the credit. And so that was a positive note that came forward. And I actually had a few people reaching out to me to get a little bit more information on things that they bought at the museum. They were very pleased with the auction and very pleased with some of the items that they bid on and successfully got, and were curious about a little more background on it. So I was able to provide some information to them, and I thought it was very, very interesting that there was a lot of excitement to it and a lot of interest in the items that they did pick up. And that's really all that I've got.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. Pretty much on the same subject. I heard a few people at coffee time and this and that. We're all excited to hear what's going on with that property, and lots of good news, lots of good comments and stuff like that, and happy to see stuff moving along. So that was real nice. And then I got a phone call about the 75th Street Industrial Park, asking what's going on over there. They seen something talk about the bylaw and stuff on one of our meetings, and I directed them to call the seed manager, and don't know if they have. But anyways, that's where I directed them. So, and that's all I got.
Excellent, thank you. Councilor Lemko?
I got nothing.
Yeah. Councilor
No, it's
Curtis?
just to notice the amount of positive energy in the community from the coffee crowd I sit with in the morning, and the tables around, and the people asking questions about what's going on here, what's going on there, and just a good buzz in the community, and a lot of the buzz with smiles on their faces, which is good to see after many years of frowns.
Excellent. Councilor Curtis?
Thank you. Pretty much the same. Everybody's excited. Everybody's asking questions about the plaza. So, and then, excited about the housing development. The only other thing that came up for me was on 50th Street heading out of town, by our drainage area there. There seems to be lots of garbage and debris and a manhole cover that was off. Director Lefebvre maybe could elaborate. I brought it up and you said the cover was put on, but I don't know exactly where it is or how they get to it.
Yes, thank you. The cover is a manhole cover and frame, and right where North Parkway drainage culverts through a control orifice underneath 50th Street, right between the North Parkway drainage water edge course and the pavement, there's a manhole sitting right off the side of the road about 2 meters to the west. And that had just made contact, we believe, with something cutting grass, a bigger piece of equipment that hit the frame and cover and just slid it on the concrete over. So we had gone back, you had told me about that evening at a meeting, and the next morning we're out and put it back into place because it is a safety concern for sure. So that's exactly where it is.
Thank you. That's right. That's what you said. It was a piece of equipment. It just seems to be a lot of garbage left there. There was like 2 5-gallon pails full of oil that the town pulled out of there and stuff. So somebody likes to use that as a private dumping ground, if it looks like so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Councilor Curtis. Go ahead.
Just comment on that oil for, if by some chance that person watches this meeting, there is places around town that will take your oil for free. You could dump it in their systems, like Canadian Tire takes it, mechanical shops, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you think the thought process before you would put something out beside, water retention system in oil like that, you might make a better choice. But not everybody learns the same, so. Myself personally, for the last 2 weeks since our last meeting, I've had some positive feedback and a little bit of negative feedback on a couple of other issues. But one thing I want to highlight is at Sunrise Park by the man-made lake. We opened that park up, we paved it, and we've invited a lot more people to walk through the backyards of all those residents. And I'm hearing that there's a lot of people walking their dogs that aren't taking the responsibility for their dogs. Even though we supply bags and everything else, it's becoming a mess over there. So I've a few of the residents know, if you could just send me a picture, I can make sure that we would enforce the law to its fullest against these people. But hopefully people in that neighborhood will take some pictures of these people, and we'll call them out publicly, and our bylaw has some teeth in it, and we'll hold them accountable. Because it's if you're a dog owner and you can't figure that out, I walked over there right beside the bags, right beside the bag. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, that's what my biggest complaint, and the one that stuck with me the most was just what is wrong with the people. Anyway, that's what I had. Next up, Director Highlights. We're gonna start with Director LaFave. Yeah, this time.
Thank you, Worship. Let's start with the storage building that the town has on the new development site on 49th Street and 50th Ave. The footing has been poured at the landfill for its new location. Development permit, building permits are done and complete as it is a move from the town boundaries into the county of Minburn. So those county permits are completed. Gas and power are disconnected from the building itself. The building movers are set to move the building on the week of November 11th. So what we've done is poured the footing at the landfill and left the floor. We'll just gravel that the next few days. It'll give us time to have the footing harden up after a certain amount of days, which will work for the week of November 11th. Then we can back the truck and the building in on the gravel, set the building down, close it up, get the gas and electrical on so we can get the heated building happening, then we'll pour the floor inside. If we pour the floor now, then obviously we're going to wait 28 days for it to cure, and that takes us too far into the season, and we'll back on with a load like that and probably break it. So that's what we're doing there. It's going well, and we've also just reconfirming the haul route with Alberta Transportation and Aqua Electric for any overhead hazards we may encounter. I believe they're high enough, but they are obviously going to be aware of it and give us the go-ahead for the move on that date. The sewer lift, Forest Main lift station upgrade, the bypass pumping has been in operation for about 6 days now. There's 2 sets of pumps running. One is a standby pump in case we have failure on the first one, and we also have, the contractor has a list of several options in the event that even those 2 pumps are going to fail, which is not likely. All the line has been laid. We have a reconnect at the vault at the sewer lift, which is a minor. We are now penetrating through the wall of the lift station, removing that ductile iron pipe that was giving us some trouble, and installing the new stainless steel. Then there will be a 450 millimeter valve that'll drop in flange to the HDP, which is what has been directionally shot for the duration of the pump, of the lay, up to the lagoon system. The second floor of the lift station, there's a crew up there working and R&Ring the valves and the elbows that need to come out in the flow meter. And then the lowest level, there's a crew down there that's starting with all the check valves and the operational valves there as well. So I would say as far as the lift station proper, we're probably just over 50% complete. So I'm hoping for about 6 days, but will give us 10 to complete this as we run on bypass pumping. So that project is going well. I know the MCC cabinet install is at our west distribution, or we sometimes refer to as the LRC. That's by the bulk water station by Unitech. It has taken a long time to get materials and things that we need. I know it was budgeted for more than a year ago, but now the system is in. And remember, this was primarily a rebuild of the backbone of the electrical system. Those are the large breakers that are obsolete now, and the heavy wires that are running to the pumps and things. We have incorporated a variable frequency drive upgrade into the system as well while we're at it. So that is going quite well. I like to consider this, if you could think of it as a renovation in your bathroom. When you start opening up things from something built in the 70s, you find things that need to be done. They're low-cost items, but we've got some check valves that are failing. We've got some components that just need a little more attention, and nothing major. In fact, I think 2 components, and we'll be fine with it. And then we'll introduce a variable frequency drive system, which will help us save a considerable amount on our electricity bill. As you can appreciate, the building runs 24/7, nonstop, always, because you turn your tap, you've always had water forever, and that's a good thing. So the variable frequency drive is just a system that, as the demand for water increases, instead of a relief valve closing to force more water into town, the pumps themselves will actually increase the RPM. So let's imagine between 11 at night and 5 in the morning, when water consumption is at its lowest, there's probably 1 pump sitting there basically idling, maintaining pressure. And then about 5:30, when the demand for water starts to increase in our community, that pump will start to ramp up by RPM. The system we have now is when a pressure reduction is sensed for a certain amount of time, click, bang, the next pump comes on it wide open. So there's never an experience of a little bit of low water pressure and then it comes back with the system we have now. But we're excited to get these two components in and start ramping this up so we can save some power and still maintain the same level of service that everyone expects. So it will take some time when we introduce the new system fully. It'll take some time to set points, that what pressures we're gonna hit, that this pump will ramp up, how fast will it ramp up in RPM to get the pressure up, and that's where we have to dial the system in. So at the next meeting, when it's appropriate, I'll let council and mayor and the public through this, that they may experience a little bit of this and that with the water till we get the pump house electronics to talk to this electronics on a VFD system. So we're happy that it's here, and we're just gonna have to dial it in. Here's one that I was just informed about. In the spring of 2025, Alberta CARE, that's Alberta Coordinated Action for Recycling Enterprises, is hosting their spring conference, which is all about recycling, in Camrose. They have contacted us in one of their day tours for this Alberta CARE conference. They want it to be the Vegreville Materials Recovery Facility, as well as the Vegreville Landfill, as one of their tours for a day of going out and seeing how other communities do things. So we were quite happy that they asked us and considered us and thought we were worthy of it, and I believe we certainly are. And I'll let you know more detail as we get closer in the spring, get the date set, but I think that's a good ask for us for a conference like that.
Make sure we pull the fridge out, sweep behind it before anybody shows up.
That's right. And a fun fact on that, I was at the VMRF today. I do not get there often, unfortunately, and I was talking with lead hand Phyllis Sarita, and she's been keeping, not me, a very close count on our batteries. That's batteries that go into lights and the AA, the AAAs, the lithiums, the recycled, your power tools, your drills, just everything that we are recycling as an expansion of the pilot program for our e-waste. And I'm going to say in our community for this year, at the 10-month mark, we are at, and she has counted each one, we are at just around the 25,000 batteries in our community in 10 months. So we're going to hit, and we estimated together, just based on estimation, which is getting by volume per month, estimated approximately 30,000 batteries a year. And it looks like we're exactly on track for 30,000 batteries a year would have ended up in our landfill every year. That's an incredible amount. And where they're heading off to, they go out through Quantum, which is a company that does the work with our e-waste program. And we package them up with the e-waste and they go away, so they're not costing us transportation money that way, nothing additional. And they do take the product and break it down, and a good portion of the amount they break down is used to create new batteries, whether it be alkaline or rechargeables or what have you. So it's a decent program that's gaining some traction, and it's just nice to see that we have these options. I know we've had recycling presentations a few years ago where we were paying to get rid of the lithium batteries and shipping them to Eastern Canada to try and recycle them, and the cost wasn't a nice thing to have to deal with. Now the program is getting big enough that we can do it right here in town. Quantum picks them up right at our landfill. Shipping is out of here, and they're actually getting put back into a recycled product. Another good news story.
Innovators, that's what I call ourselves.
Yeah. So again, good effort for the staff at the VMRF. I just appreciate what they do every day, and they have been down 2 staff for quite some time, and as they get back on their feet and go through the hiring process, so they're scrambling there to keep up with their product, but they're doing fine. So I just wanted to put a good job out there to the VMRF crew.
Yeah, and you let them know that council appreciates what they're doing all the time. I mean, we have been recognized for our recycling efforts and our methods and our commitment to this program, so.
Yep, that's awesome. Thank you. That's my report.
Any questions for Director Lefebvre? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Just one about batteries. Is there any demand for, has anyone brought like automotive batteries to recycle or anything like?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know we accept them at the landfill free of charge, and we have a building that we put them in. And then from there, they are picked up and we receive cash for them. We do not charge you to drop off your car batteries. Okay. As long as we can sell them for $5-6 a piece, is we get a break on, we give a little bit of a break on the price because someone's got to truck them to the city and they're heavy, right? So,
Good. I hope everyone heard that. Yeah, right on.
yeah, for sure. And just another note that we have to keep a lot of these batteries and the rechargeables and like I talked about, drills and cords and whatever you're powering up, because we're having issues with someone breaking into the e-waste at the landfill and making a big mess as they blow through and take the recycled batteries and leave with them. And I'm not 100% sure what they're doing with them, but so yeah, that's a real thing too.
Okay. Next up, Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have continued to spend most of my time on working on the 3-year operating and 5-year capital budget. Significant time has been spent going through each line item, getting things back up to speed from the transition while I was away. I've also been spending my time this week going through the actual overall budget and preparing the budget presentation to council on November 12th, 2024. That includes the lovely financial indicators that we go through every year, but the Government of Alberta's website is down, and actually for the majority of this week. So hopefully I will have access to them by the end of this week so that I can share indicators with you for next week's budget meeting. Our administration team is still currently not fully staffed. We have the finance manager and utilities clerk position open. Stay tuned for a formal announcement on that. We have been in the process of putting offers out, and once the positions are filled and they've had their first day, I'll share with council. I don't want to beat the cart to the horse, so the good things are coming, but I just want to make sure that everybody is here and whatnot before I make the formal announcement. I also have a meeting with Shinatech this Thursday looking at IT services for 2025. I'll have an update with council on that for you on the next budget meeting. So that is also another stay tuned item. Other things that have happened this last 2 weeks, attending a LAPP webinar on October 23rd. I also met with Canoe Benefits on October 30th. So this is just to compare our current benefits to another comparable provider. This time I'm not looking to switch, but when I get those cold calls from comparable providers, I do like to take those calls and see what services they're offering and the price point, just to make sure that we're on par with our benefits or any other things that are offered. So that's kind of like my mini RFPs, just to compare what we're currently getting to what is available in the market. To date, talking about the landfill building move, to date we have spent $43,155 on this move. So as promised, these costs have been kept track of in a separate project card, and the current costs that I had just quoted today are mostly related to the contractor doing the building move. So part of the contract was that we had to pay for the full move 5 days prior to the move date, which is scheduled starting November 11th. So that payment just went through basically today. So that is ready to go for next week. I have also received the asset retirement obligation report from our consultant, John. So I plan to incorporate any of these changes and results into the 2025 budget. So I've not had time to take a deep dive into any of the results yet. So this will be part of my plans for the remainder of the week, and I'm hoping to present this to council on Tuesday's budget meeting. And that is all I've got. That's my report.
Any questions for Director Saskew?
Thank you.
You're welcome. CAO Ling.
Okay, apparently I'm not as busy as my staff are. Actually, I don't really have much to report. I've spent a lot of time in meetings this last couple weeks, including a recreation site tour with our regional recreation facility, our feasibility study consultants, OCL. So we went on that tour for a day. It was very informative, actually, and a lot of time spent on budget preparations. And that's really all I got this time.
Okay. Any questions regarding? We're about to head into our regular CAO council meeting here shortly. Okay, is there any other business of council that we have not addressed today? Seeing none, do we know, did Councillor Rudick prepare for the changes on the 8th at the high schools? She wanted to swap.
To go to
the comp. But I confirmed that, and she said that she was going to reach out to the comp and make the switch. Do you know if she's done that? That's what she wanted to do, and I said, as long as you go ahead and inform them at the comp, then I'm fine with it, but she has?
I believe she's had a conversation.
Okay.
I will confirm that.
Okay, thank you. So Remembrance Day starts 10 o'clock for those of you who want to march from the Legion. They will be stepping off, is the term, and the march down to the social center. I hope that there's a big turnout from our community. Yeah. So, with that being said, we do have two small closed session items. So I'd like to get a motion. Councilor Berry makes the motion to go into closed session. All those in favor? Carried.